When I was around 11 years old, there was this catalog that I would take around to friends and family in an attempt to sell them wrapping paper, candies, greeting cards, just honestly just junk. And at 11 years old, I was given the opportunity and the option to choose whether to take a percentage of the sales that I made or rack up points in order to exchange them for an item from the prize catalog. Seeing that an inflatable raft was in the prize catalog, there was no way that I was going to take anything other than that. I was so excited when it finally came in the mail that I immediately inflated it in our garage. And then I got to thinking, I wonder what my cat would look like in that. Dot was not keen on being a sailor and immediately clawed the boat and then hopped out. All that to say, today we're going to be taking a look at Flat Out Games' Calico, a game that understands that cats much prefer to be placed on quilts than inflatable rafts. Calico is an abstract pattern and color matching game for 1 to 4 players. On a player's turn, they use one of 2 tiles in their hand and place it anywhere on the board. After doing so, they add any additional tokens to their board that they might have acquired due to their move and take one of the 3 face-up tiles and add it to their hand. The next player does the same, and the game continues until all players have completed their board. The board itself represents a quilt that players are working to complete, and each tile a patch to add to that quilt. The tiles come in a variety of 6 different colors and 6 different patterns. While the mechanics of the game are quite simple, it's the execution where things get a little tricky. How players group their patches is how they earn points. Certain cats will be drawn to specific groupings of patterns. If you can manage to create those groupings, you place a matching cat token on the board and earn those points at the end of the game. However, you can also add buttons to your quilt, which are worth 3 points each. To do this, you have to create a group of 3 or more patches of the same color. Finally, the last way to earn points is by accomplishing one of the 3 goals that are placed on your board at the start. These goals will award you points based on the patches surrounding them. Look, inevitably this game is going to be compared to Patchwork, for better or for worse. Both games require spatial reasoning, both themes have to do with creating a quilt of some sort, and they're both very vibrant and colorful games. Surface level, yes, it sounds like they're similar games, but once you even take a cursory glance at the rule book, or even a cursory glance at the game, you can understand that it's really quite different. However, it's another area that it's similar that I think is more important. The initial knee-jerk reaction to a game like this, the response that my mind has when I sit down and play a game like this, is sort of a warm and fuzzy type thing. It's comfortable. It's the type of game that's everything from the theme to the mechanics to the gorgeous art in the game works together to create a comforting experience. And it's on that level that I would compare this to Patchwork. That all-encompassing feeling that goes along with this game is warm. And it's comfortable. And that's not always for everyone, but it certainly is something that I enjoy. Now the game, just like any game, isn't perfect. First and foremost, the very nature of what this is requires that you have a large pile of tiles that you draw from. It's a large draw pile. When it's in the box, these piles are flipped over and you have to shuffle them, organize them, flip them over. And it's the fact that, the tiles are not necessarily tiny, but they are small, and it's just, it's tiles, guys. You have to flip them over. You have to do that with any game that has something like this. The other issue comes with these tiles, again, it's that it introduces a level of randomness. In the game, you have 2 tiles that go in your hand, and you always only have 2. Really simple turns. You play one, draw another one. But that means that your options for which tiles you can play are extremely limited. And as the game goes and it tightens up, there's fewer and fewer spots that you can effectively put these. And the tighter the game board becomes, the more that randomness will affect you. Calico presents to you a number of goals that you can attempt to reach. And I don't think you'll ever be able to reach every single one of those goals. And because you're not going to get that perfect score, that perfect game board, it's a game of timing more than anything, understanding when to abandon certain goals to pursue others. And while I love that tension and that puzzly nature of the game, it's not going to be for everyone. And look, not being able to create that perfect quilt is going to be frustrating for some people. But it's part of the added charm for the game for me. You can't get it perfect, but get it as good as you can. And again, that goes back to the warmth of this game, this perceived ethereal thing that is the feeling of this game. And while it can be stressful, while it can be brain-burny, it is relaxing and it's fun and it's pretty to look at and it is tactilely pleasant. Tactilely? The interaction in the game is limited to the shared draw pile. While some people might not like that, it's something that I'm personally very okay with. especially because that means that the solo variant of this game is very similar to what a multiplayer game would look like. Which brings me to the point that I am extremely happy that the single-player version of this game is fantastic. Calico has a tactile and physically satisfying presence on the table. All the pieces fit together as if it was a puzzle. As you can see, I've got a completed game board set up. These are not glued in or taped in or anything. This is just the game. Here, check this out. Oh, that was for my B-roll. I probably shouldn't have done that. As far as new games that I've gotten to play this year, this ranks right up amongst the top. I'm extremely excited to see what the finished version of Calico looks like. If the prototype is any indication, we're in for a real treat. So if you're into abstract games, if you're into something that looks fantastic, which the artwork and the graphic design choices in this game are phenomenal. Beth Sobel did the art, and as is the case with just about everything she does, it is gorgeous. Calico is a genuine delight to interact and play with.